as a financial advisor, one of the most common questions I get asked is, hey Azul, how do I compare financially to those in my age group? And the gold standard for this data is a survey of consumer finance that's put forth by the Federal Reserve every 3 years. And we're really fortunate because the most recent survey just came out. So let's jump in and take a look at this data. So this is the weekly salaries by age group. And first we're going to look at everybody, age 16 and older. So the red line here is the total for men and women. And then the sky blue line is for men, and then that darker blue line is for women. So you can see 16 and over, the median salary, the median earnings is about $1,100. Men are earning closer to $1,200. Women are earning closer to $1,000. Okay, but now let's break it down by age group. For 16 to 19, again, these folks don't have as much experience, so we'd expect the salary to be less, and that's exactly what we see. We see that for on average for the total, it's a little over $600 a week. Again, men slightly more, women slightly less. 20 to 24, we're starting to approach about $750 a week. From 25 to 34, you can see now, for the first time, we're breaking $1,000, a little over $1,000 a week. 35 to 44, we break $1,200 a week. 45 to 54, you can see that stays pretty close at about $1,250 a week. Then 55 to 64, it actually goes down a little bit, but still above $1,200 a week in total. And then for people 65 and older, it goes down further at about $1,150 a week. So that's what it is on a weekly basis. But I also want to share some other data with you by a website called DQYDJ. And believe it or not, those initials, it's an acronym for Don't Quit Your Day Job. And they have some really good data here as well. And they break it down not just by what the median is, but what it is, what the lower 10% is, what the upper 10%, and what the upper 1% is. So let's go through some of this data. Okay, now they don't have the exact same age groups, but for people 25 and younger, so 25 and younger, the median is $41,000. And this is by year, obviously. So it's $41,000 a year. That's the median. Half did better, half are doing worse. The top quartile would be this number here, where you see it's 75%. So they're doing better than 75% of the people. And that's $60,000. And then what's the top 1%? The top 1%, believe it or not, at 25-year-olds are making almost $200,000. So they're doing quite well. Okay, let's look at 35-year-olds. The median there is just a tad under $60,000. The upper quartile is making $90,000 a year. The top 5% are making $200,000 a year. And the top 1% is making $400,000 a year. Okay, for 45-year-olds, let's see, the median here is $60,000. Top 25% still under $100,000, $96,000. Top 10% are making $150,000. Top 5% is making $200,000. And the top 1% is making $500,000. Okay, for 55, you can see the median salary continues to go up at $65,000. Top 25% is making $100,000. Top 10% is making $150,000. Top 5% is making $200,000. And then the top 1% is making $350,000. So we've seen that the top 5% has held steady from 35 to 55. And we've also seen that the top 1% tends to peak out when people are in their 40s at $500,000. Top 1% for people 55 is $350,000, so it's gone down a little bit. What about people 65? So the median drops. It drops from 65 to 55,000. So does the top 25%. It goes from 100,000 down to 88,000. Same thing with the top 10%. Goes from 150,000 to 134,000. The top 5%, it's going from 200,000 to 183,000. And the top 1% drops a bit too, from 350,000 to 334,000. Okay, so let's look at these here. So these are the median salaries. Again, age 25 is 41,000. Age 35 is just under 56,000. Age 45 is 60,000. Age 55 is 65,000. And then age 65 is 55,000. Now these are median salaries. Again, half do better, half do worse. And we use medians instead of average because with an average, if you have a few people making a lot of money, think billionaires, they skew the numbers. And just to show you how those numbers would be skewed, for the folks that are age 25, instead of 41,000, which is the median, you can see here the average is almost $52,000. Age 35, the average is 75,000. Age 45, the average is 83,000. Age 55, average salary is 82,000. Age 65, the average salary is 72,000. So when you read these reports in the newspaper and they say average, average can be misleading, so just be careful. Now, I also want to just go over the top 1% of salaries by age again. So age 25, it's 191,000. Age 35, it's 400,000. Then 45, it goes up to 500,000. Then it drops back down, top 1%, 350,000. Age 65 goes down to 334,000, 785,000. So that's the top 1%, but I do want to share something else. There's a difference between a person's income and their salary. Salary is what you earn from your job, your wage income, let's call it that. And income is more encompassing, it's more expansive. It includes everything. Think if you have any investments, think dividends. If you have rental properties, that would be included, as well as your salary, any interest payments you get from banks or bonds. So let's look at what the median household income is. Not salary, but income. And this is household. So if there's two people in a household, it includes both salaries. If there's just one person in the household, it just includes one of those salaries. So you can see how this has changed over time. In 2019, it was $63,030. In 2020, it was $68,400. 2021, it was $67,463. 2022 was $70,181. And in 2023, it was $74,202. Okay, and then don't quit your day job also summarizes this for us. The income by age. So earlier we talked about salary, but this is income. So let's look at this again by age. So 25-year-olds, the median is $40,000. The top 10% is $82,000. Top 1% is $170,000. Age 35, the median is 53,000. Top 10%, a little under 135,000. The top 1% is 420,000. Age 45, you can see the median's a little over 55,000. Top 10% is 150,000. The top 1% now is 634,000. So this is where you see the top 1%. This is where you see numbers in the media where people say the top 1% are making like $1 million. Let's keep going. It goes down from here. For 55-year-olds income, the median income's a little less than 62,000. The top 25% is 102,000. The top 10% is 163,000. Top 1% is 453,000. And then for 65-year-olds, it drops a little bit. The median goes down, again, income goes down to $60,000. Top 25% is $100,000. Top 10% is $156,000. And the top 1% is $432,000. So those are the numbers, but I do want to stress that one of my rules is I don't care how much you're earning, you have to spend less than what you earn. And shockingly, half of all Americans making over $100,000 a year don't save a dime. And that's going to catch up, and that's going to bite folks. You know, we have to live within our means, and I know it can be difficult some years, right? And particularly on the lower end of the wages. And it's also at different life stages, right? When we have kids, it's harder to save money. But I think the aspirational goal for saving should be, yes, if you're making a good salary, it's easier, but we should strive to save 20% of our take-home pay, our after-tax pay. So, and that would include any money you put in your 401k, whether it's a Roth 401k or a regular 401k. But try to save 20%, and I think your future self is going to thank you for that. And there's two ways to do that. The easy way to do that is every time you get a raise, every time you get a promotion, half goes to your current self and half goes to your future self. The harder way to do that is what I call the 50-30-20 rule, where you try to keep your needs, the things you need to pay your rent or your mortgage, your utility bill, your grocery bill, gasoline for your car. You try to keep your needs to under 50% of your after-tax take-home pay. So you keep that under 50%. You keep your wants, things like a nice vacation, things like going out to eat, things like the cardboard boxes that show up at our front door. We try to keep our wants under 30%. And if we can do that, that leaves 20% for savings. And I know it's an aspirational goal, but do what you can. Again, I think your future self is going to thank you. And speaking of your future self, yes, it's important to prepare for retirement, but it's also important to enjoy the journey. And that's why I made this video here. 7 things that I want you to think about, stop doing as you approach your 50s and 60s in order to enjoy the journey more. I'll see you in there. Thanks for watching this one.